They are the political battles playing out all across California.
Top prosecutors under fire for what critics say is an approach that puts criminals first.
And some of the most heated political fights are happening at our local schools. We do some digging to find out just who's behind the push to make classrooms the focus of culture wars.
Book bans, pride flags, parent rights. School board meetings have become downright nasty. Turns out this is a calculated and coordinated effort.
We need education, not indoctrination.
And families of crime victims seeking justice and accountability. A movement to recall district attorneys who say they're just doing their jobs.
The people of Alameda County elected me to do this work, and we're doing it.
And will he run for president? The man who gave Gavin Newsom his political start gives us his take.
So when you hear him say, I have sub-zero interest.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Hello and welcome to Bear Politics. I'm Pat Harvey from CBS Los Angeles.
I'm Juliette Goodrich from CBS News Bay Area.
And I'm Tony Lopez from CBS Sacramento. We're just about a year out from the 2024 elections, so our CBS newsrooms have come together and pooled our resources.
We're zeroing in on some of the most talked about issues unfolding on California's political landscape.
So let's get right to it. We've seen the contentious meetings. Our children's schools are becoming the new political battlegrounds in our state, with conservatives holding almost no political power in Sacramento. They're setting their sights on school boards. CBS News Los Angeles reporter Tom Waite uncovered who's funding some of these school board battles.
In the suburbs of LA and Sacramento,
This transgender crap is wrong.
in the Bay Area,
I am deeply troubled.
and in Orange and Riverside counties, it has been a year of heated and sometimes violent standoffs at school boards across California.
We need education, not indoctrination.
As a culture war rages over Pride Days, pride flags, book and lesson bans, and parental notification rights, we wondered, how did this all start and where is it all going?
Is this part of an organized effort across the state? And what, if anything, is it leading to? That's what we set out to learn.
7 school boards have approved parental notification policies in California, in Anderson, Rockland, Roseville, Chino, Orange, Murrieta, and Temecula. Policies that require school staff to report students who want to change their pronoun. All the policies are similar to a bill written by Republican Assemblyman Bill Asaley of Riverside last spring. The bill required parental notification in every California school. This bill would provide that a parent or guardian has the right to be notified in writing within 3 days of the date any teacher, counselor, or employee of the school becomes aware that a pupil is identifying at school as a gender that does not align with the child's sex on their birth certificate. Democrats killed the bill without even giving it a hearing. But supporters came up with a new idea. Why not use the defeated bill as a blueprint and encourage conservative school boards across the state to adopt notification policies, creating battlegrounds one district at a time. And conservative Christian pastors from 3 influential megachurches rallied to help. They recruited, funded, and helped elect candidates who pledged to pass notification rules.
That's where I found a need to get involved and actually replace the school board.
Nowhere is the school board ideological battleground more high profile than Temecula in Riverside County, one of the first cities in Southern California where the divide played out and went viral.
The vast majority of this valley is very, very conservative, has been for decades. I've lived here for 40 years, and in those 40 years, we know this was the Bible Belt of Southern California.
So it's time we take back our school.
Pastor Thompson set out to recruit candidates who shared his views and held a forum he called Draft Day for his congregation.
I know there's a lot of patriots in this room. It starts with school board.
Joseph Komrosky was featured, and he went on to win and became Temecula Valley's school board president.
I believe in God. I stand for the virtues of character.
According to county records, Pastor Thompson and his PAC poured tens of thousands of dollars into the campaigns of his chosen candidates. All 3 of them won. They took office last December. Their impact was immediate.
My question is, why even mention a pedophile?
He's not a pedophile.
I beg to differ.
Using that baseless accusation as justification, the conservative board members tried to ban a book that included information on gay civil rights icon Harvey Milk. The state intervened, threatened massive fines, and the curriculum was ultimately restored. The conservative members also moved to restrict teaching critical race theory, imposed a ban on pride flags, and approved the teacher notification policy. Edgar Diaz is the president of the Temecula Valley Educators Association. He says advocating for the rights and protections of LGBTQ students has made teachers a target.
They're calling us indoctrinators. That's insulting for me. It's insulting for my colleagues.
Diaz says since the conservatives took over the majority on the school board, teachers and students say they feel less safe in their classrooms.
And now our teachers are looking over their shoulder, wondering, when am I going to be attacked or when am I going to be reported?
Get your people under control!
Thompson and others in this movement have allies. Supporters call them culture warriors. Critics call them outside agitators.
Erickson!
Like Bryce Henson from San Diego, who regularly drives hundreds of miles to districts where he has no children and confronts critics and disrupts meetings. And LAUSD parent Manuk Gregorian, who leads the group Leave Our Kids Alone, Gregorian has led protests against what he says is excessive focus on LGBTQ curriculum in multiple districts.
If a child wants to change their gender identity or transition, they're not involving parents. All this is wrong. Parents should be involved in their children's life. And plus the curriculum itself.
We have students afraid to go to school.
Christy Hurst is a parent and former Chino Valley school teacher. She founded Our Schools USA, a nonprofit that advocates for inclusive learning. She says it's clear conservatives are using the issues of what they say are parental rights to gain a political edge, and they are spending a lot of money.
This is a long game. So you saw, 20 years ago, there was this push to fill judiciary nominees. And now you're seeing this push into local levels. And what they do at these local school board levels is break laws on purpose so that they can get sued and get a case to SCOTUS.
Also raising the question, should megapastors or leaders of large churches be pouring money into campaigns for publicly run and funded schools?
Is it appropriate for a church to have such a large voice in a government-run school system? I mean, if it was like a...
So let me bring some clarity to that. This isn't a church-run PAC.
Yeah. Well, but you're running the PAC and you run a church. So, there's the line's pretty blurry there.
Yeah, well, for me, it's very clear. I'm a pastor of a church, and I also have a political action committee that I started because I saw the need to get the right people elected.
Pastor Thompson makes no secret of the fact that he sees the school boards as a chance for conservatives to gain political traction.
Last polling I saw was over 80% of parents in the state of California side on the issue of parental rights. So this is a winning issue. It's an issue we're going to grab a hold of and capitalize on because every parent has the right to direct the upbringing of their children. We have that right. We're not going to give that up.
And while the pastor thinks this movement will grow, others believe it will come crashing down. It's facing lawsuits and recalls, and some critics say the focus on divisive cultural issues, using public schools as the forum, is turning people against them.
What the community is witnessing now is a dismantling of a district, not only through legal fees, like taking hostage of taxpayer money, to use it to support their fights in court.
The conservative school board in Temecula is facing several challenges to its power. It's being sued over its ban on teaching critical race theory and is facing a possible recall election this spring.
One district is even facing a lawsuit. Attorney General Rob Bonta is suing Chino Valley over its parental notification policy. Critics say that policy could force schools to out transgender students without their consent.
Certainly a battle we'll be watching, and elsewhere in California, it's progressives who are becoming targets of recalls.
We're talking about progressive DAs. We saw the rise and fall of San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin. But up next, we'll look at the two other high-profile DAs who have come under fire because of what critics call a soft on crime approach. Bear Politics continues next.
How do you balance public safety with criminal justice reform? It's been a hot topic in California.
The FBI says violent crime is up in our state. Check out this green line in this graph. While in the rest of the country, the yellow line, crime is trending down, and fed up communities are looking for someone to blame.
Critics are pointing the finger at progressive DAs. There's been a movement across the state to try to unseat district attorneys with a so-called soft on crime approach. CBS News Bay Area's Betty Yu has the story of 2 recall efforts in different parts of the state, one that failed and one that's just unfolding.
Recall District Attorney Pamela Price, the DA that does nothing.
For the first time in Alameda County history, residents are pushing to recall a district attorney less than a year into Pamela Price's term. It comes after the high-profile recall of former District Attorney Chesa Boudin last year in nearby San Francisco. He was one of the most progressive top prosecutors in the country. Boudin's predecessor and now Los Angeles County DA George Gascon is also a criminal justice reformer in charge of the largest office in the country. He dodged 2 recall attempts in 2 years. The recall committee has filed a lawsuit against the county, challenging its certification process. Gascon called the recall effort an attempted political power grab, but added,
"The majority of the people that signed that petition did that because they believed that I was creating insecurity in their community. And to those people, not only do I want to reach out to them, I will continue. I never stop."
Both regions in California have seen brazen smash and grabs and home invasions. Critics say Gascon and Price's soft on crime policies fuel lawlessness.
They're not sure.
Brenda Grisham, who lost her son to gun violence in 2010, is a principal officer with Save Alameda for Everyone, or SAFE, the group leading the Price recall effort.
So here's the thing. I've been in Oakland all of my life. I grew up in a village, single parent. My mother was my only parent, and we've always had crime. We're always going to have crime. But the crime that's going on now is nothing near close to what we have experienced in the years.
At a recent press conference, Price defended her position.
The people of Alameda County elected me to do this work, and we're doing it. And so thank you.
Brenda did not vote for Price.
Okay, that's fine. They did elect you. But a lot of them didn't know what you were doing. A lot of them had no idea. When she says that she was running on a compassionate platform, she didn't say who she was going to be compassionate to.
More than half of Californians say that crime in their local community is a problem, according to the Public Policy Institute of California.
Do you believe that LA County is safer under Gascon's leadership?
I absolutely believe that Los Angeles is safer.
Melina Abdullah is co-founder of BLM Los Angeles. While the organization doesn't officially endorse elected officials, she supports Gascon's policy directives aimed at reducing sentences and mass incarceration. He also promised to hold police accountable for misconduct.
Tough on crime policies actually don't drive down crime. Unfortunately, communities are constantly fed this narrative that that's the solution. But what we know, and I'm speaking as a mother of 3 children, right? What we know is that what actually creates safer communities is when we have strong after-school programs that virtually eliminates youth crime.
Like Gascon, Price set out not to charge juveniles as adults. Both offices have seen senior DAs leave over their reform policies. I sat down with Price one-on-one 6 months into her term.
I was elected because the people in this community didn't feel safe, unfortunately. We know that crime under my predecessor was, pretty much exploding. The DA's role has really no impact on crime.
Price says she's dedicated to rooting out discrimination in a system that disproportionately punishes Black and brown people.
Anytime that we can divert someone from the criminal justice system, that is a goal, because the criminal justice system has been shown to be racially biased.
In your pursuit of achieving equity, it is favoring perpetrators over victims. Is that correct?
That's absolutely not true. Often what studies have shown, and it's true in Alameda County, many times people who are perpetrators or labeled as perpetrators were actually victims.
In October, Gascon kicked off his 2024 re-election bid. Price's term lasts until 2027.
We don't want to see our boys in jail, locked away for life. But We don't want to see them on the street recommitting crimes.
Oakland is seeing surging rates of violent and property crime that is higher than those of other major cities. Brenda is working with fellow SAFE officer Carl Chan, who has lived and worked here for nearly 50 years.
We are losing so much business, and we're losing so much confidence for people coming to our city. But not only that, we're start hearing from people from different cities in the county. They're saying that, crime is like wildfire. It starts burning. It's going all over.
The group has until March 2024 to gather enough signatures for it to go before voters. If it succeeds,
it will send a positive message to the people of Alameda County that we feel that they deserve something better. And then whoever comes in behind her, they're going to know that we're not playing.
Joining us now is James Taylor, political professor from the University of San Francisco. So let's get right to it, okay? So does a tough district attorney actually mean less crime?
I would say no. We've seen what's happened here in San Francisco with DA Jenkins, that crime has not gone down. Now, they've recently put a lot of attention to drug sales in open air, and that's having an immediate effect. But over the long run, it's not sustainable to have tough on crime. In fact, many of the problems we're having right now that the progressives are being blamed for are inherited from the long regime of tough on crime.
Well, it seems very difficult to voters. They seem to be split on this issue. It's either tough on crime or it's criminal justice reform. And we want to know, why can't people have both? Why can't it be both ways?
I think you make a great point, and I hope somebody in power is listening to you, because I think, these things overlap, the reform and the problem areas. So while people are trying to fix the law or do criminal law reform, people are being robbed. We're seeing people go into stores. We're seeing flash mobs. And this is discouraging, and voters might react to that emotionally. So that's the problem. If people were behaving better, like they did in the 90s when crime went down, violent crime, youth crime, then you could have these liberal reforms. But right now, the behavior of people in society is making it difficult for progressive reformers to make the changes they want.
Let's talk the drive to push politicians out of office, the whole recall movement, right? If voters don't get the outcome they want, is recall the answer, or are we going to be having just a perpetual circle of recall elections?
Well, I think because of the internet, the same way you can get people behind any issue with the internet now, like conspiracy theories, I think it's easy to get people now behind recalls. So we're going to see more recalls now than we have in the past 150 years, because it's easier to get a group behind you with social media. 150 years ago, you couldn't do that.
James, thank you so much. And for your time, especially prosecutors very much in the spotlight on big issues with big impacts on the community.
He's been on California's political scene for more than 20 years. But what's next for Governor Gavin Newsom when his term ends? When Bear Politics continues, we'll hear from a close political ally who says a White House run is almost certain.
He's been taking on Republicans on the national stage. There's also that high-profile trip to Israel and China.
Governor Gavin Newsom certainly working to raise his national profile. So what is he up to?
Governor Newsom's term officially ends in January of 2027. So what's next when he leaves office? He says he's definitely not running for president. But as CBS News Sacramento reporter Steve Large shows us, even the governor's longtime political ally doesn't believe him.
They are pictures from an accomplished political career.
Gavin is no stranger to the national spotlight. He's known for same-sex marriages here in San Francisco.
Of a San Francisco mayor turned California governor.
Half of the agenda for this governor is going to be taking on Donald Trump in the White House.
Turned proxy for President Biden.
He's practiced at deflecting the presidency question. No, it's not the moment.
Gavin Newsom's insistence he is not running for president is not stopping the persistence of people around him from wondering, even from the man who helped launch his career, Willie Brown.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Steve Large, CBS 13.
Hello.
I met up with the former San Francisco mayor at one of his favorite cafes.
I got here on time, too. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
To talk about Gavin Newsom's future.
So I thought, what better way to look into his future than to look into the person who appointed him to his first public office.
Oh, you remember that.
I asked Brown, does he think his one-time protege has eyes on the White House?
This is the main question I wanted to ask you. Do you think Gavin Newsom wants to be president of the United States?
There is no way in the world anybody who's ever met him would answer that question any differently. He would like already to be president.
That's fascinating to hear you say that. It was back in 1996. Brown first appointed Newsom to the Parking Commission in San Francisco.
Did he ever tell you that story?
No.
How he got the parking commission?
No. Brown appointed him after Newsom volunteered on his mayoral campaign by bar hopping to seek support.
All around the marina or all around the whole city?
Oh, no, whole city.
Yeah.
Oh, no, whole city.
Yeah. Brown became mayor. Even then, as Newsom became parking commissioner, then city supervisor, it was Newsom's political future attracting attention.
When they got up to toast him, one of his buddies proceeded to toast him, said, Mr. Mayor, the next time we've been toasting this man on his birthday, it will be in the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and you're invited. That was before he was anything.
What do you think it is about Gavin Newsom that has led to this evolution to where he's at now?
Well, I think Gavin laid his cards right. He played his hands well.
Now, the former parking commissioner turned governor is a global brand, traveling to war zones, to China, and crisscrossing the U.S. campaigning for the Democratic Party.
This is a guy, when we look at our crystal ball, who is headed to the national stage to restart the Democratic Party. You can't even underestimate that.
David McEwen is a political science professor at Sonoma State who sees Newsom clearly campaigning for a new era in politics and a new kind of voter in the rising American electorate.
And the RAE is younger, more urban, more diverse.
Newsom would be following other former California governors in the pursuit of the presidency. His predecessor as governor, Jerry Brown, made his own attempt. Ronald Reagan is the obvious and only successful example. Willie Brown says Newsom is next.
He is doing all the things that you would currently do to be a candidate for president. It really is in direct pursuit of achieving the goal that he has long since predetermined.
So when you hear him say in front of camera after camera after camera, I'm not interested, I have sub-zero interest. How does that...
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
The man who started Gavin Newsom's political career in parking says he is running for president.
And don't forget about that political action committee Newsom launched in March to fight Republican policies in some red states.
Yes, the governor has publicly pledged his support for President Biden for the 2024 election cycle. But that still leaves a 2028 run on the table.
And Newsom is only 56 years old, so he still has a lot of political years left on him.
Still ahead in Bear Politics, a field of crowded candidates. A look at the race for California's next senator.
This year, we said goodbye to a political trailblazer, California's longest-serving senator, Dianne Feinstein.
Governor Newsom appointed LaFonza Butler to fill her seat, who's already said she would not seek re-election in 2024.
So it's back to the original cast of characters. And according to a recent UC Berkeley poll, here's where they stand now. The frontrunners are representatives Adam Schiff of Burbank and Katie Porter of Irvine.
And here is what's interesting. Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee got only 7% support in the survey. She is tied with Republican frontrunners Steve Garvey, the former Dodgers player, and businessman James Bradley.
This crowded field of candidates will be narrowed down to the top 2 vote getters. California's primary election is on March 5th. You can register to vote at any of our websites.
All of our CBS newsrooms will be continuing to dig into what will be a very busy political election year.
But for now, thank you for joining us for this edition Bear Politics.